and raw. Charlie, make you no worry, speak the truth. No cap, give us hours. We go chit chat. Real topics, real people. Yeah, shot like eagle, fly. You know the name, right? Afya.
Welcome back to the Real and Raw podcast with me, Afya.
Why are you laughing?
Guys, thank you so much for watching so far. Today, if you're new here, this is a podcast that exists to empower women, especially mothers, who are navigating through motherhood whilst raising others. If you're new here, welcome. I believe you're at the right place. Now, today is a special episode. I am joined here by an incredible woman who wears many hats and wears them well. She is a devoted mother, a loving wife, and an entrepreneur. Well, also hard drink kakra.
Controversial.
I'm my friend controversial. Also hard drink kakra, but I believe it's all for the better or for the best. I think she's often misunderstood. She is someone that speaks her mind. And today is going to be all about her truth. You know, she speaks her honesty. You know, everything about her today is going to be real and raw. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we welcome Bennell?
Wow, that's such
Bennell is on the Real and Raw podcast show. Hello, sis.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Mama. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. God, that was quite an introductory. Like, honestly, entrepreneur, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, let's just start with cheers because,
yes.
I am super proud
Shall
of you.
we?
I'm very proud of you. Thanks
you,
for everything
Mama.
you've been doing so far, and thanks for bringing me on. So,
You're welcome.
Let's have as much honesty as we can today as possible. As you've already said, I'm very outspoken. I say my mind, I say my truth. I don't believe in hiding who you are. So I suppose today you get to see a little bit more than a little bit about me than you probably didn't know. And if you've meeting me for the first time, Esther and I have known each other for a long time.
Long time.
Way before we became wives and even became mothers. So yeah, we go way back. So yeah, it's an honor to be on this sofa talking to you guys.
Too. And ladies, remember what I said in my last episode when I spoke about collaboration.
Yes.
This is what I meant. I'm so happy you're here today and that the world gets to hear your story.
Oh.
And I think your story is one that a lot of women would connect to. So I'm so happy you're here today.
I really hope so. I really hope so.
Shall we get into it? Don't forget to like, comment, and share to a loved one, a woman who you think might need this. Now, today I want us to talk about everything there is to talk about. Miscarriage, let's say societal expectations, through getting married and, you know, having babies afterwards. And then obviously whatever follows after having children, which is postpartum. And I think we don't talk about that enough. So, yes, today we're going to be open and real and raw and talk about all of those issues.
I don't understand why you keep staring and laughing when you say real and raw, like I'm not raw. Like you're not going to get the best unedited version of everything.
No, I know you're honest. I mean, you're raw, you're real. That's why I have you here, because I don't think that if you're going through it would help somebody out there that would be they're scared to talk about things, and I think it's not healthy enough. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, in all honesty, because I think in our society, people just keep things to themselves and they don't want to overshare. They don't want to come across as they're talking too much.
Yeah.
But then again, mental health is also real. So it's good to have conversations like this, and it's good to be in rooms like this where people are open and honest about how they feel. When you have a child, a lot of things do happen. that you don't really know until you go through it. And
That's true.
if you, I suppose the more you talk about it, people then can resonate and then say, oh, I felt like that. Maybe that's what it is. Because obviously I didn't know what a lot was till I started to talk about what I was going through with other women that I felt safe to be able to do so. And then I realized what I was going through. So yeah, you always need to have a safe space to be able to have these.
Have like a village that actually hears you out. And yeah, so today let's get into it. Your journey. I think for me personally, I'm gonna speak from a side where our society often, I don't know if they misunderstand or they're just clueless or it's just how they are. Because when I got married, babies came naturally for me. My first child, it was, I think, through the honeymoon, my child came. And obviously people started calculating when did she have the baby? Oh, I think she was pregnant before having, but even at that, I don't see why people should question it, because it's my truth, it's not your truth. However, they still talk about it. So how has it been for you? I know yours might be slightly different because people that don't, I know your story, but our viewers may not know what you've been through. Can you talk us through how you felt, how it's been since, marriage and, having children?
Having a child.
Okay. Okay, people, having a child.
A child, not children, not yet. For me, I think to know me is to kind of get familiar with my journey that I've been on. I'm very different in the sense that I kind of do what I want. I've always been told that. And in that sense, I think I'm very independent in that sense where I do what makes me feel right. So let's go back all the way. Let's get comfortable and go all the way back. So for me, we'll start with society. Like you finish, you go to university. I'm not originally from Birmingham. I came from Manchester. And then I came to Birmingham for the very first time. I didn't really know anyone but my family. And then that was it. And then I got ushered into a community or a society, which is very alien to me because I hadn't seen that many our people, that many of us in the room before, because where I was coming from, it was predominantly Caucasians that were there. So when I came over, I had to get accustomed to the way a Ghanaian person should live, act and behave, if that's the correct word. I was raised by a Caucasian woman. My dad is very westernized and we lived a very westernized life. So I got a lot of stick for that when I first got to Birmingham. And it was really awful because I had lived my life a certain way and all of a sudden I had to adapt to how people were dealing here, which is fine because every culture is different. I wasn't Ghanaian enough and I wasn't also white enough, so I just had to find my path. Then everyone started to get married in sort of like the community that we was in, so naturally when that starts to happen, you start to feel pressured because everybody in your circle starts to get married, everybody starts to have babies. I remember when I was 25, I think about 2 or 3 people were getting married, and at the time I was just coming out of a really like awful relationship. It was so awful and I just really wanted something of my own. So I thought, so I met somebody, probably not the best idea. And then I decided to get married at 27. And then when I got married at 27, as life would have it, it didn't work out because it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And then I got divorced at 29. So fairly quick marriage, quick succession, in and out type of thing, but a lot of lessons were learnt. So I always say I'm probably one of the most relatable people that you'd ever meet because I've gone through a divorce, then I got married again. I've been through a lot of challenges that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But as I said, my upbringing is not a typical Ghanaian upbringing. So I'm quite open. I'm a very extremely private person, but I'm also an open book. So what I want to share, what you hear outside about me is what I actually want you to know about me.
And in our society, that really doesn't sit well because you're supposed to, like you said before, like behave a certain way, you know, talk a certain way. And obviously in our community as well, like the child is always wrong.
Yes.
The adult is right. So
I've got a lot of stick for that.
However you feel, you have to keep your feelings to yourself and let the adult, you know, do the talking. And so I can understand you from...
That's a conversation for another day because we can do a whole booklet on that one. could do a booklet on that one, because May, I was not the poster child. But then again, I was fine. I'm somebody else's like child. My dad was very proud of me and is still proud of me. So that was the beginning. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an understanding of who I am and sort of a little bit about my upbringing. I'm very westernized. I'm very non-judgmental.
Westernized. Oh, mommy, you're Ghanaian. What papa, you're Ghanaian. What is Western?
You pick your path. You choose your path in life.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing that
I'm Ghanaian in a sense.
Don't understand. So people, when they're young, pick up a lot of things and a lot of traits. Ain't you know, just because your parents are maybe your country fluently or fancy fluently, and you don't automatically know. It's like, why are you doing that? Because oh, mama, no papa.
I had that a lot. I have that a lot still. I have that a lot. I speak Fanti very fluently. I can sit here and talk to you in Fanti all day, but then I'm also comfortable speaking in English. And most of the time, people would say that Bennell in Shishini, which is fine, which is okay, and I like that.
Because they don't know you. They haven't gone into your story, but we talk about it anyway because you're in the community, so you're supposed to be behaving like everyone else.
So that pivots back to when I say I'm very non-judgmental, because when I meet somebody, I don't assume I know their story, and I don't assume I know what they're going through, what they're supposed to, why they even like that, because everybody's upbringing is quite different. So that was a bit of my journey, why I got married quite young and I quickly exited that marriage. And I think I've spoken about it a couple of times in the past about it. Obviously I'm now in a new marriage, coming on to 6 years now, so we're going to move on to that relationship that I'm in now. So post-divorce was quite hard. I'll always say that COVID, so in my first marriage, obviously I did want to have children, and I lived here and my ex-husband lived in a different country. So every time I tried, or every time I sort of positioned my trip to coincide with going over there to get pregnant, it never worked out. And then just after the marriage was about to end, I think it was March or February 2020. I always say that God actually made COVID for me, because when COVID came, it kind of shielded me from a lot of backlash, because it was just the beginning of my divorce. So I felt like God knew that I needed to be away from everybody else, because the rumor mills were already starting, and I didn't know whether I had the strength to even have that conversation with people, just to try and explain, oh, I've gone through this and that. And that's the thing with our society, they don't really care. It's more of a judgment. Like, soon as something goes down, it's the woman's judgment. It's the woman's fault straight away. I really
commend you for that, because I think that like you're one of the strongest people that I know, because you have actually been through a lot.
Been through a lot of stuff.
You've actually been through a lot, and you're still like striving and going like nothing happened. And I mean, it's like one trait that I learned from. I'm like, oh,
my mom calls me a bulldozer.
She'll do away. Yeah. Like
my mom calls me a bulldozer. My mom used to call me a little elephant, because I would literally I'll just stand on it and keep going, because I don't know how to wallow, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I feel like the minute you let yourself sit there, you're going to stay there forever. And I'm not going to lie, I never thought my going post-divorce was not the easiest. It just wasn't, because
it won't be.
I was mourning a divorce, and I was also mourning the loss of a child. What most people didn't realize was, as I left my marriage, I was pregnant with the marriage. So I waited 2 years to get pregnant, and then just as the marriage was on its last legs, then obviously I found I was pregnant with my son for the first time. So now here I am in a situation where I don't have a husband anymore, and now I have a child who I've always wanted, but deep down knew that I didn't have the energy for both scenarios. So unfortunately, at the age of 5 months old, I had would you call it stillbirth? That was my first time. Yeah. Yes, that's my first ever loss. I wasn't even away. I was away from home. I was away in work. So I used to work down in London. So I'd travel all the way from the Midlands all the way to London every week. And I had a miscarriage then. And I remember I had 2 friends from work that literally rushed me to the hospital just to make sure I was okay. Oh, and then I had no one, because where I worked was like 4 hours away from here. So I literally was hospitalized, and I went through that trauma by myself. And I remember I came home, and that was it. And I remember my ex-husband, I think at that point, he went from being an awful person he already is too. Probably it's funny, but I had no support.
I can imagine.
But that was the first time that I suffered a loss.
Yeah, but you know what you're saying, yeah, it's quite deep. However,
I'm
the people
laughing.
that you're laughing about it now, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
The people that don't know the story, obviously you're quite a big person on social media as well, because Bennell. The reason why I said Ohemaa is one of those reasons. She would actually put anything that she wants on social media.
I don't believe in hiding the sort of person you are. So,
I believe that too, but like we started, not our society does not accept that.
I don't conform.
However, exactly, you're how different you are. No, they haven't gotten to understand that
which is always fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're strong enough to stand in your own path and not conform to society. As I said, I was raised very differently. I was raised in a Caucasian home. I was raised with grandparents that would let you do what you wanted to do.
Right.
As long as it wasn't immoral. You are allowed to speak your truth. You are allowed to dream big. You are allowed to do whatever you want. So if you put me and another person together, we're totally different. Because my mindset, I don't think like a Caucasian person. No. I think like me. I do what makes me happy, because if it backfires, it's me that needs to hold me accountable, nobody else. So I believe in being part of a community, but I also believe in having your own identity.
Your own voice.
Which I have. And it works for people that are of the same mindset.
Yes.
I have met a lot of Ghanaians that understand the sort of person I am because they've been around people of similar mentality like me. And there's certain people too that will never get me, and that's okay. I think it's acceptable that you don't go around thinking everybody needs to be like you or accept the sort of person
everyone likes you. No,
exactly.
The Bible says
it shouldn't. It's not a good thing, and that's another thing. So back to 2020, March 2020 or February 2020. I have to look on my phone. It's so long ago, the date, and then that was my first loss. It was awful because at that moment I'd lost friends to my divorce. So there was only a few people. So I remember ringing one of my best friends in Manchester, and I said to her, I've literally just lost a baby. And then she was like, do you want me to come down? I said, no, I'm fine, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I just didn't understand.
How did you lose them?
So basically the amniotic fluid around the baby dried up. So yeah, and that's a lot of complications. So the water around the baby that's supposed to keep the baby alive got dried up. Oh, so I'm not even talking about the babies. You said you lost a lot of friendship.
Also,
when you're going through a divorce, you will lose people. People will side with your ex-husband, which most of them did.
But they've got loyalties to you.
But they don't. People don't have loyalties. That's the thing. You expect them to have loyalties, but they don't have loyalties, which is understandable.
And are these friends the friends you have introduced to your ex-husband?
Yes, because none of them knew him till we got married.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a very lonely period for me, and I'll say that I'm very happy because my ex-husband obviously at the time decided to go on a crusade, and they fell, which is fine, and it's life, you know. So I just wanted to reiterate that, just in case somebody watches and they're going through or at the beginning of going through a divorce, it's not, the Bible forbids the divorce, but the Bible also don't want you to be killed in a marriage before you leave.
Flee.
So you've got to leave if something is not serving you well, if something is not letting you fulfill the purpose in which God has brought you into this earth. You got to walk away from certain situations. So that was my first stillbirth, I suppose. So this conversation is in retrospective, so it's something that happened 6 years ago. So that was the very first time that that had happened to me. I was very numb.
I can imagine.
But I don't know how I feel now thinking about. I feel like things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Now in hindsight, because I would have had to now still be in contact with my ex-husband for the baby, and probably don't, because I've not spoken to him for a long time. So sometimes things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I think later on, in one of the church services, one of the pastors actually said that sometimes your prayer request will give birth to other prayer requests. So God would not fulfill that prayer request because you don't want to ask for a child and that child is going to come into this world and bring you so much pain. Troubles, and then you're going to go back into God and say, well, God, why have you given me this? So sometimes God will take away that child. I don't know whether that was my situation. But then also
sometimes I think it's not God. It's just human beings. We arrange the things that we want for ourselves and then we say it's God.
Yeah.
So
it depends. You will never know in it.
Yeah, it definitely depends.
We will never know.
That's why they're saying for us to, the Bible talks about discerning. Because when you therefore discern, you will know which voice is actually like speaking to you at a particular time. But it takes a very,
But then mine was a marriage. Yeah. And then at the tail end, I know there's a lot of women that are leaving marriages now and they're having kids.
Yes.
So they're kind of like, should I stay in a marriage because of my kids or should I walk away? I didn't go for a divorce. It was handed to me. But then I had to rebuild. So we've talked about the divorce a little bit. I don't want to give too much credit onto that because I'm now in a better position. So I just want to now show the sunshine that comes after a cloudy day. Yeah. So with me, it took me 2.5 years, and then obviously I met my husband now, and we've been happily married, and I confidently say happily married for 6 years, coming on to 6 years this year.
Real and Raw podcast.
Things have been great.
He seems like a very wonderful guy.
He's God's son. I don't even have to like hype him up. How did you
guys meet?
We met at a barbecue, funny enough.
Penam.
I swear.
This girl.
Mate,
fancy. She loves meat.
I can eat meat forever. I'm not gonna lie. So I think it was my auntie's birthday. My auntie that it was her birthday and it was a surprise birthday. This was 2017, I kid you not. So it was in like the summer of 2017, and then we got all invited to this surprise birthday for my auntie, and then my husband then, obviously we didn't even know each other, he came to the party. So I remember his friend turned his sister come up to me, and then she was like, oh, but no, you're single, aren't you? And I was like, no, wrong time, and I'm getting married in 2 months. And then she goes, oh, my brother's really nice, and he's got a really good job. I'm not going to say his job, but she's like, he's got a really good job. At that time, I was thinking, why would you lead with his job title? Exactly, because I'm not interested. If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And then I was like, oh, where is he? And then she goes, he sat up there. And when I looked over, he was very quiet, sitting there just minding his business. But there was just some calmness about him. Yeah. But at that moment, I was getting married to somebody else for 2 months. So I said, this is not going to happen. So let's just be friends or whatever. And then that's what happened. So we stayed friends. To be fair, he was really nice, checking on me and stuff like that. I barely spoke to him in the course of because I was when I'm in a marriage, I'm in a marriage. I don't see left, I don't see right. And he would tell you that if ever anyone got the chance to speak to him, he would message me and it would take about 3-4 months before I replied. And I'd forgotten the text message.
And he would wait.
Yeah. And then we'll plan to meet up, because when I used to work down in London, I would plan to say, oh, maybe after work I can meet you up for a drink and we can chat just as friends and stuff. And then I never did. He would be waiting, and I'd literally forgotten about it.
Man of few words.
Honestly. And he would never even chase or anything. So I remember when I went through my divorce, I started to realize that the qualities that I needed in a husband was staring at me all this time. And I felt like I needed to get married, to get divorced, to learn something. Sometimes you go into situationships so that you can appreciate what you have now. If I hadn't been in that relationship before and I'd gotten married straight to this incredible man, it would have ended up in a divorce.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't have been ready mentally to be, or matured enough to be in a marriage now. So I felt like I had to learn a lot from the first marriage to be able to now have a fulfilling marriage. So when I got divorced in 2020, I then reached out to my husband and I said, hey, guess what? And he goes, what? I went, I'm divorced now. And then he goes, you joking at ya? What happened? And that was it. We started talking, and then, it was just and he was like, oh, I'll come up and see you. And it was COVID. You couldn't really go anywhere. He had to get a letter just to come to Birmingham to come and see me. And when I first met him, I remember vividly, I got goosebumps. I picked him up from train station and my whole body went into shivers. So I rang my friend in Manchester and I said to her, babes, can you come over for Christmas? I want you to vet this guy. And I think my husband's going to listen to this for the first time. I think, can you come over? And then she was supposed to go to London for Christmas, but she couldn't because we was in lockdown. So she came over to ours and spent Christmas with us, all three of us, and me, him, and then her. And then they got on like a house on fire. Wow. Literally, first time that she met him, they got on. So I kind of knew.
Like they've met for a very long time.
So I knew straight away that, okay. And then I remember she pulled me into the bathroom and she was like, May, this is your husband. Like, this is your person.
Wow.
That's what she said. She said, Bennell, this is your person.
Beautiful.
And then I went to Ghana for my friend's wedding and all my friends literally said the same thing. And I realized I was talking about him all the time, over and over and over again. Every conversation I had his name in it. Oh, and he did this and he did that and he did it. And I was just like, okay. But I hadn't said yes to being his girlfriend. So when I came back from Ghana, I was like, and when I came back from Ghana, I had bumped into my ex at the time. So I kind of realized, I looked at him and then I looked at my friend at this point. I was like, you off him on. And that was it. I came back and I felt like that encounter, seeing him after so long, made me realize that everything I needed for a successful marriage this time round was in my husband, and it was staring at me right in the face, and that was it. And 6 years later, we're still here. So
look at that.
That's how we met. Long story short.
How beautiful that story is. If you're there thinking that, you know what, guys,
I'm divorced and I can't be someone else.
I can't be someone else. I can't be myself. Look at my age. When will I get married? Be yourself.
You've got to be yourself, because the right person will fall in love with you.
It's better to get married at 40 and do it right than to get married at 20, 25 and get a divorce. Okay, you hear me?
Just don't get pressurized into it when everybody else around you is.
Don't do
that's what happened with me. I felt like there was a race that you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago in your first, you said there's an unspoken rule.
Yes.
And I felt like there was an unspoken timer that I was missing out on, and it was running away from me. So I felt like I had to do what society
don't live according to someone else's timeline.
Exactly.
Do what favors you and just do it right. And just be you, because when it comes naturally,
you don't have to pretend.
No.
It's easy. It's honestly easy. This time it's so easy. I am me. And honestly, my friends will tell you, like, and you know that I'm very open with him, and it doesn't feel forced. It just feels like I'm right where I need to be. Yeah. And that would lead on very nicely to when the losses start to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So fast forward, you guys are married. Yeah. How many years did baby come?
So baby K came after 4 years.
4 years.
Because she's not turned 2 yet. Right. So yeah, and we're going to be 6 years.
So how did that feel for you and him at the same time? How did he cope, your husband?
When she came or before?
Before she came. How was the feeling like at home, you know, society and everything?
So first of all, I'd like to say I have probably been blessed with the best in-laws ever. And parents. My parents, even, I'll tell you something, my dad thought I was too young getting married or trying to have babies at 32. Wow. He was like, you're too young. Where are you rushing to? Live your, my dad, as I said, my dad is my parents are very liberal. So they were like, take your time. There's no rush. And at no point did my in-laws ever pressure me at all to ask me or call him just to say, no, they'll just call and say, sir, Abaya what to say, okay, that was it. I had no conversation. It was me that wanted to have baby, and he never at any point made me feel like I had to.
See, that's the thing. So what makes other people outside of this marriage think that it's okay for them to talk about, say, when the family itself, it's not actually giving you that kind of pressure, like, when are you giving us our grandchild? But people around, I don't know if I should say they're in their ears or they're just being gossips around. I think speaking to each other. She's been in this marriage for time, for how long? Thing is, as soon as you get married, they expect it.
Yes, it's like a chronological event. It needs to happen.
So when it's not coming, it's the fact that they wouldn't even pull you to talk to you or ask you about anything. It's just what you hear,
because they don't care about you.
why do they think it's okay to do that?
I think it comes from a generation where people have been allowed to talk badly about people for a very long time and not had any repercussions. As I said, like, it's just natural, and I'm Ghanaian, so I'm gonna go with the Ghanaian culture because I don't know about other cultures. It just comes natural to Ghana for like, soon as we'll worry, as soon as you get married, even on the day, even at the church, and you're leaving, maybe first Sunday after second Sunday, 1 month, 2 months, Master Tiana.
Yeah.
And then it starts to get a little bit annoying, but then we go back to the topic of penny, and a kid cannot say nothing.
Oh, and it's coming from a good place.
It's never from a good place. It's never from a good place. It's a place of gossip. And I feel like people just say what they want. They don't ask the questions to know what you're doing. They just want to project their own insecurities on you.
That's true.
And they come from a society where we come from a society where it's easier for people to, because 2 days or be warrior within 6 months now I will. So they have the same mentality that it should happen, and it's lack of education, which is fine because people don't realize that. And you can't really blame people as much because a lot of people even now have only just started to understand what stillbirths are, miscarriages are, postpartum stuff are. People don't understand that. So it's a case of not being educated about certain topics. You could be a learned, you could have gone to university and done all that stuff. But if you're not educated in a subject matter, you're an illiterate in that subject matter. Because if you don't know about miscarriages and stuff, and you just assume that naturally, when you get married, you're supposed to have a baby straight away. We all thought the same when we got married.
I mean, who doesn't want to have children right after, marriage?
I remember when I was younger,
you're like, oh, when I get married, I'll have fun a little with my husband, and then after a few, But the thing is, when you're having those plans, plans with your partner, they don't know these plans. So
they don't know that you want to wait a year.
Exactly. So they start thinking, there's something there that they're not sharing. Like,
I think it comes from the, like, I remember when I was younger, my grandma used to tell me that if I look at a boy, I'd get pregnant. If a boy winked at me, I'll get pregnant. If the boy's air blew my direction, I'll get pregnant. So we have been led to believe that pregnancy comes so easily to people. So as I said, we can't blame people a lot because that conversation or that education is not there. It's only now people are realizing that it's hard for people to get pregnant. That's why people are having surrogacy, IVFs and all those things to come through to support people, assisted pregnancy. People don't realize that. So it's only now that people are learning. And I believe that the new generation that are coming up, they're a lot more in tune with what is going on and are educating the parents. So people's mentality is changing. In the next 10 years, the conversation will be very different, I believe, and I hope.
Hopefully.
So that's how it is. People talk because, one, they don't have the knowledge, and sometimes people don't know how to react to a situation, so they just literally say what they think that they should say.
Yeah, but not everyone is open to, being nice. Like you say something like that and you expect them to be nice, and then when they react, then all of a sudden that person is disrespectful. Because I tell you what, even me, I've got 2. Yeah. And that comes a lot. Like, like, there's something called planning. Like, I
need they had sex.
To understand.
They had sex.
Because if tomorrow I tell you, oh, can you come look after my children? Wouldn't. The answer is no, because I'm going to work. Oh, I've got plans. I've got this. Then I'm alone.
Yeah, they'll find every excuse under the rule book to give to you.
Yeah, I get things like, you are prolonging your childbirth. Oh, that, gender of a child that you're looking for, it's not going to come. But exactly, who are you to tell me that?
Who are you to, or how do you know whether I want to be just a boy, a mom of just boys?
What's a side child? You hear me?
I think we're all learning a lot about these conversations, and we're all being a bit more sensitive.
It's a very sensitive topic
to how people are, and just because I'm not sat here crying and stuff doesn't mean that it didn't upset me at the time. We're looking at retrospectively, and I also wanted to put a disclaimer out there. This conversation is now easier because I have a child now.
Yes, it wouldn't.
If I didn't have a child now, I would not be comfortable enough to sit here. So we also need to appreciate where people's journey is. somebody might be in the midst of childbirth issues and doesn't want to talk about it because they're in the thick of it. They're not recovered yet. I still think about my babies that I've lost, but because I now hold one, it's easier for me to just have that sort of relief, if that makes sense. So everything that you're saying, the conversations that people, I've had it all. Yeah. I've been to people's baby showers or birthdays, and people have said, say, oh, and she's jumping from, and I travel a lot. It's only this year that I haven't gone, well, we've only just started the year. But yeah, that recently I haven't been going off on my wonders. And people used to say that, like, I'm just up and down, she's gallivanting up and down.
I've heard stories like that. I mean, even Nanama McBrown was talking about how people used to tell her, Nisikano, what's she using her money for?
Yeah, but people don't realize people
Who are you to tell me what to use my money for?
I don't think people say it to be mean. I think people say it just because they just don't know what else to say.
So then don't say anything.
Exactly, but it takes an educated person. I'm always going to come back to that phrase. An educated person to not have certain conversations. I've had friends that have lost babies, and to this day, I have never sat down with them to even talk about it, because I know it's a painful situation it's for them. It's a trigger, and that's another thing. People don't realize what triggers you. So I'm going to be very controversial for this, like, I'm going to say it, and it's one of those things that really did really hurt me. So if we're going to be real, that's one of the situations that really made me upset. So you'd go into a church and then they're praying about childbirth. And then everybody turns around and looks at you.
Oh, yeah.
Or everybody expects you to come to the front.
They automatically think you're the reason
why that prayer's being said.
Coming on.
But they don't understand that it could be for that message could actually be for somebody else. Yeah. So if they're saying that if anybody, forward, and you're still sat down, people just look at you like, oh, why is she still sitting down?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to one of the ladies personally, and then she was telling me how she had to, like, switch services because they're not saying anything to you, but it's the way they look at you.
It's the whispers after.
Yeah. They look at you and then they turn to someone else and then they say something. So yes, they're not telling you anything, but you feel it.
But then they don't tell you, but they tell your spouse.
If they're bold enough.
Yeah, some people don't tell you, they tell your spouse. I remember, so my very first loss after my son, I think it was in 2021. It was just before, I think it was in the summer off. And we just literally found out, then obviously this was with my husband now. And then we had just found out we were having a baby. Oh my God, it was so exciting because obviously what had happened, I'm now in a relaxed environment. So we was all happy. And then I remember we did the test, and then I did a whole filming. I'm a YouTuber, so I do that. And I just went crazy, bought loads of stuff and got the reveal and everything. Obviously, we didn't tell anyone. It was just me and my husband. And then we eventually, I think when we got to the first one was a stillborn, I just naturally didn't think it would happen again. And then it after 8 weeks, I think 6 weeks, we had a scan. And then everything was okay. And I think the NHS is 8 weeks when you first go for your first scan of the NHS, I think. And then when we went there, so we'd already had a private scan 2 weeks prior.
Right.
And then we went to the NHS, and then obviously you hear the dreadful things that they say, oh, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. I remember I was very confused. I was like, what do you mean there's no heartbeat? There was a heartbeat 2 weeks ago when I went and did a private scan. And I think that also doesn't help with the timings of the scans, because I was walking around with a dead fetus for 2 weeks and I didn't know because my scan 2 weeks ago said I was having a baby and it was fine. And I would also say that, like, with miscarriages, not everybody has a silent miscarriage. So some people would obviously pass the fetus naturally at the early stages, and it would be a blood loss, and then you'd obviously it would pass and that's it. There's other people too that physically have to have it removed because the baby's at a stage that it needs to be removed. It can't pass.
It's life-threatening.
Yeah, so they physically have to have either a surgery or they have to have some sort of medication to help past baby. So you can imagine somebody's just lost a baby, and then they're not just mourning the baby, they have to go through a medical procedure to remove baby. So miscarriages are horrible. They probably one of the most awful things you can ever go through. I've gone through a stillbirth and I've gone through a miscarriage, so I kind of know how painful they both are. With the second, obviously, miscarriage now, my little baby was called Star. So with Star,
you named her.
Yeah, my husband named her. Oh. So with Star, we came home. We got given some time to get used to the news. I remember I rang my mom and dad, and I was angry. I was angry. I was horrible. Yeah, looking back now, it just makes me even ashamed to even admit. I was angry.
No.
So angry, because I was angry that it happened again. I was angry that my body had done that, but I was more... When you're going through something with your husband, because he's the only person that understands, you, if you're not careful, you will start to unleash your pain on him. Yes. And that's unfortunately what I did.
We do that most of the time.
Yes, as women, because you don't realize that you're projecting your anger. I was angry that Star had passed away. And then I remember I picked up the phone and I rang my mom and I said to my mom, I'm coming home. And then my mom was like, coming home when? I said, I'm coming to Manchester. And she goes, no, you're not. And I went, I am, because I'm going through this hair. And she goes, so what about him?
Yes.
If you're running away,
him, yes,
you're supposed to be in this together with both your baby. You're running away to your parents. Who's he got? Exactly. My mom was like, you're not coming anywhere. You're staying there together. We're going to come to both of you. And I remember my mom driving to my favorite Chinese place in Sale, getting us loads of Chinese. And then my best friend, literally, she owns a restaurant. So she gave my mom loads of food just to keep us together. And then literally, I think then my little cousin and my auntie, they came, she knew that we adored this little cousin of mine, and she knew that we needed her. So my auntie sent her over. I remember she sent her with like typical Ghanaian food, like dokono and stuff. And then I remember when my mom came over, she literally sat us in the room and said that what we're both going through is absolutely horrible and we need each other. And I remember my husband had been so strong and been so brave, because for that whole minute, he had forgotten about his pain and he was making sure that I was okay. Yeah. And I was so selfish in that to not realize that he was losing something too. And
it takes a very good partner or husband to be able to do that, to be able to understand you from where you've come from or where you're coming from. And I think, it's one trait that our partners, most of these husbands need to understand, because when a woman goes through such stages, it's like the body, the mind, the soul is like gone.
It's more like your mindset. You kind of give up in the sense that you just can't be bothered anymore. For me, it was more anger.
Yeah.
The first one was
to be angry.
The first one was shock. The second one was just anger.
Because why?
I was just pure angry.
Exactly.
And I remember because I was due to go away for work abroad. So I was just thinking, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? But it was just coming from more of a selfish place that I didn't for a minute consider how he felt. Because at that moment, it was all about me. It had to be about me because I'm the one that's lost the baby. I was the one that was carrying it. But then for a minute, I'd forgotten that he had been my emotional shield for this whole time. He was in that room too when they said there was no happy. He didn't have to hear it from someone else. So he literally at that moment couldn't cry, but he had to watch me cry. And if not for my parents or my mother, I would have probably lost that marriage too. My mom was like, no, you're not going anywhere because he deserves to be held as well. So you can both, you can both cry. And my husband will probably say that was a time in his life that he felt so sad because I made him feel like it was his fault. And it wasn't his fault, but he felt like there was nothing else he could do to help me.
Bless him.
Yeah. And I was angry. I just went, and he decided to do the nicest thing.
Listen, you're a very strong person.
I think it's very easy being me.
No, it's from where I stand.
From you stand, yeah.
Yes.
But for me, it's very easy
because you're being you.
I do me.
But most of us never understood you.
Yeah, I do things that I want to do.
You like, and let's look at what Bennell, yeah, what's also look at what she's put on there. Like, why is she doing that? Why can't you just, keep things to yourself?
Everything I do, I'll tell you one thing today. I'm a very calculated person. Nothing I do is just doing it. I'm a very calculated person. Whatever I put out there, I know the reaction. I know the exact reaction is going to get out of it.
You do it anyway.
Yes, because I want to do it. And if it makes me money, I'm going to do it.
Right.
My YouTube or whatever I did at the time was bringing me a source of income.
Okay, pause over there. That YouTube she's talking about.
No, we're not going to.
She's got a YouTube.
No, we're not.
No, yes, we are.
No, we're not.
She's got a YouTube, guys. It's called Bennell's Diary. Check her out. She does amazing things on there.
You guys got married. It was great. God, I used to just think this is gonna end. You've been divorced, but so you just think, God, how long is this gonna last and all that? And I'm very good at self-sabotaging. So I'll literally self-sabotage everything. I'll just be like, you're gonna leave soon anyway. No, you don't like me. And then even if he looks at me, I went, yeah.
How do you want him to feel when you start saying all of those things?
People do though. You self-sabotage because you've come from a place of hurt.
Yes.
So if you don't learn how to heal, you're going to hurt the person that's not meant to be hurt.
Exactly.
So people say hurt people. It's true. There's a lot, when you lose a lot of things, you need to do a retrospective check. With my 2 losses, it was medical. There's nothing I could have done. But then you now have to sit down and see, how did that other person feel in the scenario? So I did then realize that I, for that moment, thought of me and not him. And I knew for a fact that I had to make sure that he was good every single time because he'd made sure that I was good. So our marriage is probably one of the best marriages I've been in. He's an incredible husband. I don't even have to worry at all.
I can't even begin to imagine, what has been in his ears being with, a personality like you.
Do you know what? He fell in love with the personality. As he fell in love with me back in 2017. So he already knew the sort of person I was, and it was something that he wanted in a woman.
That's what people don't know.
Well, that's their own problem. See, that's the thing. If you keep thinking about what other people should know, you're never gonna go ahead.
Never.
So as long as I am happy and he's good, that's and my family are good. As I said, as long as it's not immoral or illegal, I don't really care about anybody's opinions, because the thing about with opinions is they don't pay bills. No. And they're not going to take you anywhere. And I'm in my late 30s, approaching my late 30s. It's a lesson that I've learned, that people would always have something to say. There was a lot that was said to him. Obviously, being a divorcee, there was a lot that said to him, don't get married to her. Her last marriage didn't work out because of this. She's a bad person, blah, blah, blah. But then he was very confused because he was like, did they know you at all? And I said, no, but it's good. I like to be an enigma. I like the fact that people don't know me. So when they eventually get to realize the sort of person I am, then they'll be like, oh, I thought you were but you're actually a sweet person. And it's good. So stay in your corner and I'll do mine. And that helps a lot. Yeah. Do I feel like I'm misunderstood? I feel like I'm not misunderstood. I feel like I'm misconstrued. When I say stuff, people take it how they want to take it. So if I say stuff, they just assume that, but I was rude. Yeah. How you approach me is how I would approach you. But I have gone through enough in life to realize what I want to give my energy to. Do you understand? I shield people that need shielding. I fight for people that need fighting, because when I was going through my stuff, no one fought for me. When I was going through my pain, no one was there.
And they would actually argue that.
They weren't there. People, and I think as a society, we also need to be careful who's there for genuine reason and who's there to get gossip. Here's your safe space at the time. I am lucky enough to say I'm blessed with the most incredible set of friends that they packed up their stuff and came and lived in my house. Cooked and everything, and they quickly come down to when I had a child too. So first miscarriage is gone. I know we're going on a bit now. First miscarriage is gone. Second miscarriage happened in 6 months after. And then when that happened, we had a test again. So at this point, I'd been to the second the same clinic twice. And I remember it was the same guy that was doing my sonography again. So I was just laying on the bed and I was just feeling a bit uneasy. And I just looked, see, my voice has even changed just thinking about the guy. And then I literally just looked at him and I was just thinking, okay, at this point I'm married, you know, so no judgment over here. So yeah, and I just looked at the guy and I was just thinking, oh God, do you know when you already feel like you know what the person's going to say? So I'm laying on the bed and he comes to me and he goes, unfortunately, there's no heartbeat. And I was just like, okay. I didn't even wait for the guy to even tell me to put my clothes on. I just carried my own clothes. I just went. I just carried on and just went and just put my clothes on. And I went home and then I said to Nana, we need to go to the NHS. We need to go to the hospital because I want to hear from the hospital. And at that time, when we went to the hospital, then they confirmed it. And I remember we went and sat, there's a church in this neighborhood, and we went and sat outside there and we both cried. This time we didn't do it separately. We both cried and we named our child Sky. So the first one was Star and the second one was Sky. So the second time that happened, we were very close and very united. I wasn't angry. It was more of why? Why is this happening? But then I was also smart spiritually to realize that it's not normal.
Right.
So I know that medically miscarriages do happen. Yes. And I know somebody that's had 6 miscarriages back to back. But I'm a Christian to know that when things do happen several times, you need to figure out what's happening. So for a minute, I sat down and I said to my husband, I think there's something wrong somewhere. Is either medically we need to find out, or spiritually I need to understand what the hell is going on here.
Did you go through like just African medicine?
Oh no.
Stuff
God,
like that?
No.
Like, okay.
Oh God, no. And anybody that does that, that's up to them and their belief. I remember there were people that would bring me medications to drink. I remember there'll be people that will tell me to go to Ghana. Ghana.
People you've actually told your story to?
No,
or they just
assumed.
Right.
Elderly people that on a Sunday after service, they'll pull me to the side and say, Ghana no kosa Yoruba, and I'm just thinking, kosa me Yoruba, what am I going to actually cure?
It does work for some people, but not everyone. I'm not what's the word? I'm not unorthodox. So I can't, even like when I'm sick and they tell me to do like, when COVID came and we were doing like African stuff, like I wouldn't even drink it. So yeah, that for me was just not it. So that one I'll drink because that's really nice. But anything else I wouldn't. So yes, I didn't take any medication at all. I physically didn't do anything. So the second one had happened. And I remember the crucial moment is when you have a second one in the hospital, you get given there's a miscarriage tree. Right. In the hospitals, and there's a prayer room, and then you pick a ribbon and then you go and you tie it on the tree. And I remember my husband writing the name of the baby and then we put it on the tree, and that was really sad when we did that. And then he walked out, and then that was it. I went away for work. We were fine. We were chilling. Then the third one happened because at this point I'm on stillborn number 1, miscarriage number 3. And I remember the third one, when it happened, my husband had gone. So baby had literally progressed all the way to 11 weeks. Wow. So we were literally at that mark where it was like 12 weeks and the danger zone is over. You're so excited and stuff like that. And I remember he was late. So when we went to the hospital, we're struggling to find parking. So he was like, quickly go to your appointment so that you don't miss the NHS appointment. So what had happened then was I had switched the sonographer because I was like, I'm not going to this appointment again in the same place for them to tell me the same time. I'm not going again. So we drove a whole 40 minutes all the way to Solihull, which is the other end of town, just so that I can see a different sonographer. Okay. So we went to the sonographer. They said it was fine. And then obviously went to the NHS one at 11 weeks. And then my husband was in the car park and then they told me that there was no heartbeat. So I remember when he came in the room, he was outside. He'd literally run in from the car park and everything. And then I go, it's not good news. And then he goes, no, it's fine. We'll go somewhere else if they're being horrible to you, because he just assumed they were being awful to me. And I said, no, it's not good news. And he goes, it's fine. Sorry we were late, but we'll go somewhere else. And then I go, no, chill.
it's not that she's done the scan. And he goes, what? And I said, well, there's no heartbeat again. And he goes, huh? And I go, yeah, there's none. And then he goes, and he just slumped in his seat. And then he went very quiet. And I remember I just went over to him and I just hugged him from the back. And he just looked at me like, what the heck? And I remember we came home. And this one was the one that was the most painful one because I was angry. But I was angry at the world.
So
and I refused.
Sorry, let me not cut you. Is it always when you get to find out like the sex of the baby?
I never found out. The only sex I found out was the first one, which was a boy, because I'd gone to 5 months. But we assumed they were girls, hence the name Star and Sky.
I remember you telling me one time that it was a girl.
Yeah.
And then
because now we know they were. Now we know because, so as I said, not everybody has passage of tissue, and then some of us physically have to go into hospital and have terminations and stuff like that, which obviously elongates the pain even more. If I woke up and I'd passed it in whatever, then it's I'm not saying it's okay, but it's a shock.
Yes,
but then and then sometimes they would give you medication and say, send you home,
just like that.
Yeah, that pain for the next 6 hours is the worst
for
pain.
The baby to pass
on its own. That's the worst pain. Anybody that has gone through a miscarriage, when you hear their stories, go and give them a hug and buy them flowers, because those 6 hours waiting for the baby to pass are the worst ones. You're physically waiting.
Wait, do they do it as though that? Because I know that some abortions, that's how they do it.
Like a DNC.
Yeah. They give the person the medication. For them to go home. Yeah. And then the fetus passes out.
So it depends on how old the baby was.
So that's how they do it.
Yes. Some people.
Okay.
Some people they physically have to open them up and take the baby. Yeah. So it depends on how old the baby is. So obviously if it can't come out as blood clot, then they can't do that, because then you'd be in pain. And some people also have to come back in and they have to get their womb. So you'd have to get your womb scraped out as well, because you can't have any dead tissues there.
Whoa.
So it's not just the fetus coming out. You have to have another scan a couple of weeks after for them to make sure that there isn't any fetus left in there. You're not allowed to have any residue, because then you would have sepsis. So they need to make sure everything is cleared out.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is a very deep conversation.
So
we're having it so easily as though it's nothing. But when it happens to you, you won't be talking about it. You won't be laughing about it.
You'd go numb.
Yes.
You'd physically go numb. Your body was shut down. I didn't speak. I didn't speak to people for ages. I didn't even speak to my parents. I didn't speak to my husband.
You go in like you zone out.
You do, because you become, but then in this country, when you've had a miscarriages for 3 times, they have to do an investigation. So my first one, I think the second one I was sent home. The third one,
what would they be investigating?
They have to see what's wrong with the fetus.
Right.
So, because I was so late in the pregnancy, I was given medication, but then that didn't work, so I had to have a surgery for them to physically take the fetus out, and they needed the fetus whole. So if you think about a baby when they're proper small, they needed it because they need to go and test the fetus to see why that, because it would give them answers. Right. So anybody that has multiple miscarriages, that's an option that the NHS will give you for them to know. If not, they will never know. It will keep reoccurring. And it's sad that you have to have multiple miscarriages before you actually get to some sort of an investigation for them to even tell you what's actually wrong with your body or stuff like that. So it's not that your body has failed you. Certain things, you
can't explain.
Yeah,
you can't explain.
It's only after you've had that then you know exactly what's wrong. So I remember, let's put this list down for a minute. So I remember when the third one happened, I had to stay in a hospital, and then they had the medication. I remember, this is another thing, like the way they treat us Black women in hospital is so abysmal. They came together. So I was under consultants. So they came to get the baby. Baby had passed and they came to get baby. And then they literally would also check how much blood you're losing. They have to measure it to make sure you're not basically bleeding out. So they did that. And then what then happened was they then physically come into you know, when you've had a baby to check, but this time they would scraping out whatever little bits were left, but they hadn't made sure that I had been medicated. So whatever she was doing, I could feel it. Wow. And then she said to me, how come you can feel? And I said, because I've got no pain relief. And then she looked at the nurse and said, well, has she not had morphine?
Morphine?
And I went, I've got nothing all day.
Wow.
And then so she had to stop. I had a video. I actually videoed her doing it. And then I had to stop and they had to give me morphine. But that's another thing. The care that they give us black women in hospitals is absolutely shocking, because had I not screamed, she wouldn't have realized I wasn't on medication.
Exactly. And that's one thing that black people need to like cultivate. Like, when we're in pain, we hardly say anything.
Oh, I say everything.
Me, when I'm in pain, I'm quiet.
Oh, no.
So when I go quiet and you know me, you're like, don't go close.
Especially
like,
in hospitals.
Yeah, like, don't
go
close. But if you don't, you see one casa through why you born.
It's true.
Yeah. So you have to like speak. They'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, you have to shout
I say 10. My husband will tell you, if I ring the ambulance for you, best believe that the ambulance is turning up in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
they
the way I was
terrible things,
the way I would exaggerate everything, they would rock up.
It's
because
true.
For me, I had to speak, because don't forget, this is not my first rodeo. I've had a stillborn at this point in a different hospital, in a different town. This is my third miscarriage. So at this point, I've had 4 losses back to back. So I know what's supposed to happen and what's not supposed to happen. Wow. So when that happened, they said they were going to take baby away, and then they took fetus away, and then they went and checked it out. And I remember they came back with the results. It takes about 3-4 months. They came back. So me and Nana, to be fair, quite quickly we settled into it, and we knew this time that we were going to get some help. We knew this time we were actually going to get some help. So we were like quite relieved with it. We were sad, but at least we knew we were going to get some answers. So the test went off to, it gets done in Women's Hospital. It went off, came back 4 months after, and then we got allocated a consultant. Finally, we got allocated a fertility consultant to speak to us about what was going on. And it was nothing that we both did. Nothing at all. There was physically nothing wrong with any of us. They'd done every single thing possible. And then I remember it was literally in maybe the April. Then we saw the consultant in May. And then he then said that, he was going to look after us, blah, blah, blah. I remember he was called Dr. S. And then I remember seeing Dr. S, and he was just talking to me, which was in May. And then in the June, Mr. S fell down and broke his arm. So the doctor that I had waited nearly a year or 6 or whatever it is to see him, he'd literally broken his arm. And then they said that he was not coming back for a long time. Oh, no. Can they give us a new consultant? They said no. At this moment, I knew that IVF was not in my playbook, but I said, you know what? If I had to do IVF, I'll do it. Because at the end of the day, I want this child and I will have this child. If that's the way that I'm going to have this child, I will. And IVFs are expensive. They do run from between 4,000 to 8,000. It depends. So we'd had already, and I had a friend that was going through that situation. So I already knew how emotional that journey was. But I was like, you know what? I'm happy and I'll do it if I need to. But then Dr. S had said, don't go for an IVF, because normally the first round of IVFs do fail.
Doesn't go through.
It doesn't happen. So do not waste your money and go and do a first round privately. If you're going to do it, wait till we approve you on the NHS, and then you can get some sort of free go on the NHS. So if it doesn't work, then you can go and do your own private one. So I said, cool, no worries. And then obviously then Dr. S had broken his arm, so he was off. Give us another consultant. They said no, because obviously he's the only specialist at that time. So I had a wedding to attend. So I'm coming on to the birth of baby K now. So I had a wedding to attend in the September of the 2023. And then I said, so I kept calling my friend and I said to her, I have an appointment that I need to attend, but the doctor's broken his arm and I'm not sure if he's going to be back or not. And I'm just waiting. I don't want to book this ticket to go with you to your wedding, just in case time na me book your ticket to know. That's when the doctor comes back. And then she was like, Bennell, I think you're going to be pregnant. I don't think you're even gonna come with me to this wedding, and I don't think that doctor is supposed to be there. I don't think that doctor is supposed to do anything for you. I believe that God wants to do what he wants to do, so he's taking the doctor out of the way so that when it happens, no one will say there was a doctor that helped you. You're not going to need that letter. That letter for the IVF that you've been waiting is never going to turn up. My friend Koshi said that to me, and I said, oh, wow.
That was God speaking through.
And then, she went, because she was getting married, and then she went. And then I remember this was August, end of August, I went to meet my friend in London for drinks. And then I was talking to her, and just as I was about to say bye to her on the train, she said to me, Bennell, you're pregnant. And I said, no, I'm not. And then this was barely 6 months after the last miscarriage. So I was like, no, I'm not. And then she goes, yes, you are. And I said, well, yeah. So she goes, no, you're pregnant. And I said, no, I'm not. So I went home, didn't listen to it. And I remember I had a bottomless brunch. I went out with my husband, went to have a cocktail or something. And I was remember thinking, this hangover is not shifting anytime soon. I feel absolutely awful. It's been over a week. What is going on? And then I remember, so there had been a man of God in my life. I have to give him a shout. I wouldn't say his name, but so on my last miscarriage, I physically refused to terminate that child. Physically. Because I said God needed to resurrect that child today. I said, I'm not removing this baby. And I remember a man of God who I was very fond of, and he was a daddy to me, literally came to my house. I remember we went to church, the church that I'm in now, and we cried onto our pastors. That was the first time my husband had physically cried baby tears, and there was even snot coming out of his nose. He's not gonna like them, but he had cried because at that point he was broken. It had hit him. And as a man, you guys take things on and on and on, and eventually they're gonna break at some point. So it was at that moment in the house of God that he broke down. And I remember my pastor telling me that she had already had some losses too, and I needed to let that baby go. I was like, I'm not terminating this baby. God, if God says he is who he is, he needs to resurrect this baby today. We're not removing it. And then the hospital called and said, this baby has been in your belly for more than 2 weeks and needs to come out. And I remember this other man of God that I love dearly. I still love him dearly. He's been my papa for a very long time. And he came to my house, drove to my house, and then said, Meba, I know what you want. Let this child go, and I promise you another one will come. Amen. I said, no, and eventually did. And there was one man of God that stayed with me, prayed with me, and he's my everything. And I will say that everywhere. I stand by him. He literally prayed with me from the date of the last miscarriage up until my daughter was born. Hallelujah. And I feel like God needed to put people in place. That doctor was never meant to be the way that was supposed to get pregnant with baby K.
They weren't.
And then baby K, then the whole pregnancy, it was awful. It was tough. It wasn't easy. Wow. I didn't have it easy at all. My whole pregnancy
will not be easy. You have been through some quite a journey.
We can sit here for 2 hours and talk about my life. Honestly, yes. I feel like I need a walk at this point.
Fast forward everything, guys. This is the story of Bennell and the journey.
Oh, the last couple of bits of my life, guys. I have been through a lot more.
Guys, if you're listening to this thinking, when would mine finally come? Don't give up. Have faith. Whatever faith you believe in, have faith that child is going to come. And when they finally come,
God,
it would be the doing of the Lord.
It would be very easy.
Very easy. Yeah. You wouldn't even think about it. It would come so easily that, all the ones that you have been through, it would be a testimony, actually. Our time is fast spent. There are 2 chatterboxes.
You might need a part 2.
We might need a part 2, actually, because she needs to take us on a journey after baby K arrived, and then also what she's been through after baby K arrived. Guys, if this episode resonated with you, like I say always, keep the comments flooded, share to someone you think might need to hear this.
Do that, because someone might need to hear this, honestly.
And this is the Real and Raw podcast with me, Afya. Guys, until we meet next time, see you guys. And Bennell's Diary on YouTube. Check her out. She does amazing things.
I don't do it.
Okay? Don't forget to like on her YouTube, share, post to everyone. She does amazing things. She's travel, lifestyle, everything. On comment. And Bennell's people, follow me.
Like that.
Okay. Thank you guys. Until we meet next time.
It was lovely.
Peace.
Thank you.